Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. It's Sunday, so I hope you're enjoying your weekend at least a bit. This is for the week of July 14th coming ahead. So we've got a lot of things that I would like to talk about. Let's get started. What we're looking at forward from here, we are in grade territory again for the stock markets. We'll start with that. Basically, a lot of investors basically still piling in on the retail side. So smacks of a melt up in a lot of sense. We've got the yield curve still inverted and a couple of other things going on. So we've got the what they're calling the great rotation. We've been speaking about this for a while, moving to value basically. So they're coming out of the highly speculative, moving out of tech. As we kind of expected for a while now. And they're moving into basically more solid, not quite the fear trade, but more into commodities, value stocks, and then also some of the smaller caps. So with this, we've got Berkshire Hathaway, which has always been considered very stable ones with what Warren Buffett typically invests in, not the high flyers. They closed at a record high, showing that this trend is indeed in place. We've got the 10-year yield and the relative strength of the dollar, both on the lower end and weakening still in a downtrend. So still giving rise to the stocks, but we've got a few other things going on as well. So I'm going to touch on cryptocurrency right now. Bitcoin rose. It's at the 60,000 level now. So just below it. So we're going to watch what it does here. So a lot of this was on the back end of what you're going to get bludgeoned with in the news is the attempt on the former president. So that made the cryptocurrencies jump. That you should look at and see that he is very positive for the space and for him winning the presidency, which it looks very certain at this moment, depending on who they bring in, because it's not going to be the current one running or sitting in place. So if he indeed takes back the office, it will be very good for cryptocurrency. But right now, on a technical level, watching 60,000, its resistance right now, expect a little bit of a pullback. That's your buying opportunity before it goes above, goes to retest, and then we'll go from there. Is probabilities. Nothing is for certain. Can't see the future, but that's what looks like more probable. So going with this, we've also got he had a meme coin spiking 52% after this attempt that you're going to hear all about in the news. So we've got a couple of things, and this is why I'm saying I expect it to continue from here. We've also got the German government. They sold at the low, as typical with retail investors and governments that don't handle wealth very well. They sold at the bottom. Now they're almost out, so less pressure from the top end. So moving on with this, we've got Iraq in talks with US Treasury over banks and dollar restrictions. So we've got a couple of foreign reserves basically we really need to watch. The first one is Iraq. The second one I've been speaking about, and that is Japan. The Japanese yen had a bit of manipulation going on in the background. They were very clever about selling into basically what happened with the inflation numbers. So it would kind of be covered over. But we're going to talk about that in a bit as well. They are the largest holder of debt. So between the two, watching their treasuries, a third one kind of quietly in the background is Saudi. Saudi hold quite a bit of treasuries as well. So with this, we're watching the calendar going forward this week. We've got a few reports coming out, mostly retail, on Tuesday, import prices, and then jobless claims. So they're watching, the Fed mostly is watching jobless claims and the PCE price index now. So those are the two major movers as far as the Fed is concerned as to whether they will cut rates. I don't think they're going to cut until at least September, but again, we'll see what happens. This is not financial advice. It is only likelihoods and probabilities. Okay, calendar moving forward, what are we looking at this week? We've got BlackRock and more of the banks coming out this week. So I'm watching KRE, some of the bank stocks. We've also got quite a few others, PNC, another bank. So we're watching this begin to come in. And then we're going to watch some of the larger companies. We've got Netflix. I don't know how that one will do, but a lot of people are watching that one. So going on with that, the real economy. Now, this is really interesting. We've got Yellen saying that she thinks the United States is to blame for the death of the dollar. Well, yes, but she's always got something to point at, and really it's the profligate spending, printing of the US dollar, and the inflation of debt itself, which is the inflation of this. And eventually the pigeons come home to roost. And I think that is what's going on. She's kind of in a different sector there. So basically what we're watching, because the treasuries, they're writing more debt. And what the more interesting thing to watch, the more scary part of this, so to speak, is the increasing debt, but also the debt that we've currently got. Now, they've got loans locked in at a certain percentage rate. Now, they're not going to pay those loans off. Instead, what they're going to do is roll them over, meaning they have to take new loans at whatever the current rate is. So with this, it's definitely going to be higher. And with that, that is going to exponentially increase the amount of debt that the US owns. So on top of the debt that they're accumulating because they're not paying it off, we're about to roll over some of our older debt into higher interest rates. So with that, I still don't expect rate cuts until September, but I do believe they're coming. Another indicator is they have to move in lockstep. So we've got the ECB also basically putting out the vibes into mainstream media that they are looking at rate cuts, preparing rate cuts in September. So in order to not have major currency war within the Western currencies, which are mainly the euro and the US dollar, as well as with Bank of England, those three for the most part trying to keep each other on par. Okay, back to the real economy. We've got deflationary forces present in almost every sector in the US. And this according to US Global Wealth's Paul Donovan. Well, I couldn't agree more. We've got a major retailer in the United States is JCPenney, been around for over a century, falling out of a retail giant. So they're closing multiple stores nationwide. They're restructuring their finances and having issues. We've got Southwest leaving 4 major airports, and this is triggering major layoffs. So we've got more job losses coming from that sector, out of a sector that has been strong the past few months on the opening of tourism and travel due to the C-19 going down. So we've got US corporate bankruptcies soaring above the pandemic era peak, according to new economic alarming rates, highest they've been in quite some time. And we've got a new company, Vietnam. They had pledged to open a car plant in the United States. Now they're saying they're delaying it with no timeline in sight. And that's because they're watching drop in sales. Would it make sense for them to put all of this money into new car production when they're not selling? Okay, we've got businesses. This is going into the artificial intelligence and kind of the sector. Businesses harvesting biometric data. I've been warning about this for a long time. Public wants assurances on security. Doesn't matter what they assure you, there is no security. This is a move towards the tokenization, and they basically have been collecting data for a long time. So with this, the dark side of this, the European Union offered X, formerly Twitter, a secret censorship deal in accordance to Elon Musk, who turned it down. Now, they offered this deal to all of the major social media networks. Most of them took it. X turned it down, so now all of a sudden They're facing a €200 million fine over what they're saying are DSA violations. So basically, because he didn't take the deal, they're fining him in other ways. They're going to give him a difficult time as much as he can. So regardless how you feel about Elon Musk, I hope he keeps the platform open. I don't necessarily agree that it is a free speech medium, but it is more free than the others, more free than most. There's other alternatives, but of the major ones, it's definitely the top. So before I go into a little bit more, I wanted to mention Japan has a new 40-foot tall humanoid robot. They're using this for their railway line maintenance. Now, if you're not aware, they've got quite the system on rail, and using these robotics that can be operated remotely. Now, yes, it could get dark and say with the wrong artificial intelligence could have an issue. But I think this is quite a good thing because it's very dangerous job and it could bring down the cost of such things. I think this is a very positive move for that space. Now, just want to point out this in AI photo. What in the world that warning is all about? I don't know, maybe it's him getting angry in Battle of the Bots here. Leave in the comments if you think you know what that is. I thought it was kind of cute. So anyway, okay, back to reality. On the physical war front with Ukraine, they've received permission to do deep strikes in Russia. This all happened Friday. So, of course, Russia's not going to like this. They very quickly set out a call to Pentagon. Right here, this is Austin. He is basically Secretary of Defense, and Russia gave him a call. They haven't spoken with him in over a couple of months. So they have told basically Europe that they could strike Europe if the US deploys missiles. What does this mean specifically? Germany, you're in the crosshairs. I've been talking about this for a while. US is deploying missiles and a lot of the equipment and whatnot is going through Germany. So major target. Don't really like that. My prayers go out to all of my friends that are over there. Quite a few of you here listen. So just be aware, be prepared. We've got NATO. This is from Dmitry Peskov, an Russian press conference, saying that NATO once again very clearly confirming that they're an alliance founded in an era of confrontation with the aim of continuing confrontation. So they did not like this at all. Their Minister of Defense, Andrei Belousov, basically called Austin, as I said, on Wednesday, speaking about the more strategic weapons going to Europe and including undeveloped hypersonic missiles. And they're saying these are started 2026, but this is more spending going on there and basically just kind of stoking the fires. On the positive front, there is word that there may be a treaty going on between Israel and Hamas. We'll wait and see what that's got going on. They're going to use this, in my opinion, moving more towards elections, but we'll see how things go. So with that, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you kindly for being here. I'll catch up with you in the morning. And until I speak with you again, my friends, stay free.